Good afternoon and welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. The meeting is now called to order. I'd like to ask the city clerk to call the roll.
All council members are present.
Would you all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a brief moment of silence? And Dylan Garcia is here from Valhalla. Is it Valhalla that you're here or your Teen Coalition?
Teen Coalition.
All right, Dylan, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you. The city clerk posted orders of adjournment of the January 22nd, 2019 meetings and the agenda of the February 12th, 2019 meeting in accordance with state law, council, and housing authority policy. We have a presentation today on today's agenda for an update on Teen Coalition. I'd like to invite Recreation Services Supervisor Susie Lowe, Efemalo Utu, to tell us about this. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. My name is Susie Lowe with the Recreation Department, and I'm here today to introduce our new 2018-19 group of Teen Coalition members, as well as I'm introducing our new staff liaison for the Teen Coalition, Malo Latu. And just a little bit about the Teen Coalition. Applications for the 2018-19 term were accepted in late 2018, and those applicants that either reside in or attend a middle school or high school within the city limits of El Cajon were invited to interview. We received 9 applications, and all were selected to serve this year. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our chair and vice chair, our chair, Alvin Mwangi, and vice chair, Dylan Garcia, to tell you a little bit about the Teen Coalition. And then we have a couple of other members with us today. Not everybody was able to get here. Their busy lives of teenagers and doing extracurricular activities, but I'll turn it over to our chair and our vice chair, and they'll let you know a little bit about what we're doing this year.
Thank you, Susie. The City of El Cajon Teen Coalition is an opportunity to be a part of a group that will develop skills in leadership, learn about our community, discuss important issues regarding teens, and become involved in community service. The Teen Coalition will meet each month at Renette Park Community Center. Calendar of events include participation in the team building activity and tour of the Week Horst and Knott's Museum, a guest appearance on KUSI Morning News, witness local government in action at the February City Council meeting, seminars and training on the local economy, City of El Cajon's annual dance recital, August movies in the park at Renette Park, El Cajon's library fiesta, and Hanfest and America on Main Street. At this time, I would like to introduce Dylan Garcia, our vice chair.
Thank you, Alvin. The City of El Cajon Teen Coalition will also be continuing to sponsor its annual Youth of the Year Award, as we continue to put a spotlight on those youth who strive in their community. The Teen Coalition application requested remarks regarding perceived issues that teens face in their community as well, and safe activities for teens, specifically cultural and art-based activities, as well as job opportunities were chief among these responses. The Teen Coalition is developing activities and projects that will help to respond to these issues, and we will be finishing off our year with a community service project from May through August. I would now like to give it over to our other members as they can introduce themselves and discuss why they joined Teen Coalition.
My name is Blake Blue. I am a junior at Granite Hills High School, and this is my second year in Teen Coalition. And the reason I joined Teen Coalition is because I love this city, and I wanted to do whatever I could to help make a difference in it. And I felt this would be a great way to do so. And over the past 2 years, I've realized that it is an amazing experience. Thank you.
My name is Precious Silal. I'm a junior at Grossmont. I've been a part of it for about 4 years, and it's been a great way to be involved with my fellow teens in the community.
My name is Bianca Margot, and I'm a sophomore at Valhalla High School. This is now my second year at Teen Coalition, and I'm now the secretary of this group. I joined Teen Coalition because I really wanted to give back to my community, and I also wanted to help others engage in community events.
Wonderful.
So again, thank you, Mayor, and I actually have to applaud this group. We went on KUSI, back in October, November, and it was a little nerve-wracking being on camera, but they just did an amazing job explaining what Teen Coalition does and recruiting members this year. And I've been with this group for about 10 years, and it's been an amazing experience for me, but they have a good new leader, and so they're just an amazing group that does an amazing work throughout the city. So any questions?
Yeah, maybe there are. Council, any questions? Well, Gary?
Just a comment. I wanted to say that all of you are very well spoken. I couldn't have come up and spoken public like all of you have when I was your age. So it's a huge advantage for you. And having the Teen Coalition on your resume when you apply for college admission can help. My son was on the Teen Coalition when he was 11 years old, and I think it helped him get into UCLA. So that led to a great career for him.
That and his grades.
Yeah, that and your grades.
Thanks, Joe, very much. And all young people who are volunteering for the city, we really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. That brings us to agenda changes. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
Mr. Mayor, no changes to the agenda.
Council, any agenda changes? That brings us to consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion, according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any consent items? Mr. Goebel.
Item 4.
Item 4. Okay. Anybody else? Staff, do you wish to pull any consent items?
No, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and look at item 4 first. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Were there any speaker cards for?
No, sir, no cards.
Steve, would you tell us about item 4?
Item 4, I just have a question for staff. It mentions that there's an advantage to doing multi-year contract, that there would be a savings by doing it multi-year versus single year at a time. I didn't see the savings in the backup. Can you give us a sense what that might be?
Certainly, there's several ways that the savings will be generated. I'm going to ask our Public Works Director, Dirk Epperson, to explain our calculations.
Hey, Dirk, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. This is an excellent question, and it's a good opportunity to highlight why we do things like this. So what we're talking about is why are we doing a 5-year contract versus a single 1-year contract? And there's several advantages to this. First of all, there is an overall savings of almost $80,000 that we're able to project. And what that means is year after year, we've been seeing an increase in the price for the slurry that we've been getting. It's been going up 5.5% to 5.8% annually. So with this 5-year contract, we were able to lock in 2% annual escalation if the oil index reaches the 2%. So we've capped it at 2% rather than the 5.5 that we've been seeing. So that equates to about $80,000 over about 5 years. There's also something that's hard to calculate, but it's also the staff time of rebidding a contract year after year. There's advantages to doing a 5-year single contract and being able to do that. It allows us also to be nimble with our contracts. When we get grant funds that come in, we're able to apply them immediately to a contract that's already in place versus having to go out and bid. And this also is attracting more bidders that we have than we've seen before. We've averaged about 2 or 3. This one brought in 4 bidders because it was a larger piece of the pie. So we were able to get attract some more bidders, which is always good too.
Makes sense. Any other questions? Thanks, Dirk.
You're welcome.
Well, why don't we go ahead and start with number 4 then, if you'd like to make a
I
motion.
make a motion we approve item 4.
And moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Then I make a motion we approve the remainder of the consent items. Moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
The next item up is public comment, but before we do that, I think we've got some visiting young people from high school. Is that what high school are you guys from?
Valhalla.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Bob McClellan, and you're going to have to do what he says.
Good afternoon, high school students. I'm going to invite you all up to where the speakers speak here in the front to name your, of course, we assume you're all seniors and you're all from Valhalla. So we'd like to know what you want to do after you graduate, what college you want to go to, and or what your occupation's going to be when you graduate from that college. So no exceptions, everybody has to come up. Your teacher will be watching you, and you'll be graded upon your answers. So come on down. Don't be shy. This is a required event.
Good afternoon. My name is Alex. My occupation that I want to pursue is in auto mechanics. Hopefully, go to UTI.
Could you say that again? And pull the microphone a little closer or speak a little louder.
My name is Alex. My occupation I want to pursue is in auto mechanics and hopefully join the University of UTI.
Very good. That's a good. I used to be in the automobile business, so that's a good occupation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jorge Gonzalez. I'm interested in studying something related to psychology, possibly forensic psychology, and hopefully at SDSU or San Marcos.
Very good.
My name is Dylan, and I want to pursue music, and I'm going to go to Cuyamaca after high school.
Good.
Hi, my name's Natalie Clemente. Hopefully I will be going to SDSU and pursue social work.
Okay.
My name is Elijah Juan Phillips, and I'm looking to join the Air Force to pursue mechanical engineering.
Wonderful.
By the way, fight on.
Right on. Yeah.
My name's Anna Brown. I want to go to Cuyamaca after and teacher or interior designer.
Thank you.
My name's Carolyn Aguilar, ASU, and then education.
Very nice.
Very good.
My name is Devin Ellison, and I wish to pursue my dream of being a writer.
Good.
My name is Gavin Rowland, and I would like to pursue the dream of being a government contractor with my father.
Very good.
My name is Brody Yoakum, and I'm interested in becoming a lawyer studying criminal law.
Okay.
My name is Katie Crowley, and I hope to attend a four-year university here in San Diego to study dance.
Very good.
Hello, I'm Ryan Elros. I want to attend NDSU and study zoology.
Very good.
Afternoon. My name is Elsbeth Drazo. I'll be attending NAU, and I'll be studying music.
Very good.
Hi, my name is Brianna Flores, and I want to study in business, specifically in finance.
Very good.
My name's Luke Cagey. I want to study business. I want to get a business major, and I want to go to SDSU University.
Wonderful.
I'm Sam Gruby. I haven't decided where I want to play NCAA lacrosse yet, and I want to pursue a career in venture capitalism.
Good occupation.
My name's Anthony Young, and I'm hoping to play baseball in college.
Very good.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Nava, and I'm interested in pursuing business or entrepreneurship by attending Cuyamaca College.
Very good.
Hi, my name is Medusa Vasquez, and I want to go into the medical field and going to a 4U.
Very good.
Hey, my name's Annabella Kowalczyk, and I'm going to Indiana Tech for soccer, where I'll be majoring in forensic psychology.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Katie Mixer, and I'm not sure where I'm going to college yet, but I'm going into nursing.
Very good.
Hi, my name's Karen, and I want to go to USC or SDSU to study business.
Good.
My name's Cameron Healy, and I want to go to Grossmont College and get my real estate license.
My name's Alex Dubé, and I'm going to Southwestern Community College to study fire science.
Very good. Now, students, is there anybody that didn't come in? I want you to, or come up. I want you to rat on them now, so they have to come up. Is there anybody that didn't come up? Just point them out, and we'll get them up here.
They all made it.
They all made it. Well, congratulations. And for the gentleman that was going to go into baseball, our assistant city manager is a nephew of Joe DiMaggio. I'm sure you've all heard of Joe DiMaggio. So he was the speaker at our Rotary Club today, so he might be able to give you a few hitting pointers because he played also, but not with Joe.
Nobody wants to go into politics? No? Okay. Smart.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, we're going to move on. Public comment. This time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time that the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions. An item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have any cards under public comment?
Yes, sir. We have 4 speakers. The first one is Robert Clark.
Well, Mr. Clark, welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Clark, and I've lived in El Cajon about 24 years. And I just want to point out that what happened today is the same thing that happened at the last council meeting. In looking at the minutes, the word invite is used. It says that the mayor and council member McClellan invited students. Well, they're told it's a requirement. It's not optional. They don't have a choice. This is America, the land of the free and home of the brave. And if a student wants to not come to the microphone and speak up, that student should be able to do that. And apparently none was brave enough to do that. And then there also were told last meeting and just seconds ago that other students should rat out somebody that didn't come up to the microphone. I find this very anti-democratic, and I would hope that other members of the council would speak out against this. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bonnie Price.
Hey, Bonnie, welcome.
Hello. Mayor and council, I want to pick up on what the mayor said. We need good people to run for office, lots of them, and please do consider it, especially women. I have 2 questions on business before the council at various times. Do we have an estimated time for the reopening of EPPAC? Mm-hmm. And the second one is, has the council been able to do an inspection of the internment camp for asylum seekers on Broadway?
The answer to the first question is September. September, the EPPAC will open under the management of Live Nation. As for the visit to the group home, which I think an internment camp might be a little harsh, but I think, Graham, you went and visited with them, right?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor and the council, me, Vince DiMaggio, our assistant city manager, and Tony Shute, our community development director, were granted a tour of the facility. We spent about an hour there on a rainy day. We were able to actually interact with a lot of the young men that were there. That facility houses young men between the ages of 6 and 18. We saw them at school. We saw them getting some medical treatment or some checkups or talking to the nurse. We interacted with the school or the psychologists and their case managers, asked a lot of questions. We also reached out to the state of California to see if there's any licensing issues or any violations. And based on our tour, we met with beyond the staff from Southwest Keys. We met with the representative from the Office of Refugee Relocation, who actually supervises and manages that facility and actually all the facilities in Southern California. We met with her. It's pretty heavily regulated, the site, from both the state and the federal government. We felt pretty confident that what's occurring there is a good environment. We did find out that they actually do field trips. We didn't realize that was something new to us, that they go out and they've been to Padre games. They go to Balboa Park. And we've actually reached out and offered some of our city resources, facilities for them to recreate in if the space they have there, if they don't believe it's large enough for their needs. So,
okay, and the issue of the council members going there, they had to have special permission, right?
So correct. The last we were at it, Mr. Kalasha requested a tour, and there's a paperwork process. That paperwork has been submitted, and so we're working on getting him a tour. Any other council members that would like a tour, we can arrange that. Just let me know, and we'll work on the paperwork for that.
That's where we're at.
That's a real plus. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Whitney Lopez.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Whitney Lopez. I'm a volunteer with Trauma Intervention Program, better known as TIP. I just have a scenario. Can you imagine your daughter who lives on the other side of the country calls you sobbing, letting you know that your grandbaby just passed away? She's sobbing. She doesn't understand what's going on, and she's there all alone. You know it will take you hours to get to her, maybe even a flight. The fire department's there trying to resuscitate the baby right now, and the police department is there to do an investigation. But who's going to be there for your daughter? Who can be there to calm her, give her a shoulder to cry on, explain the process and what is going on? Who is the liaison between her and the first responders? A TIP volunteer is exactly that person. We arrive on scene within 20 to 30 minutes. We are called there to give emotional and practical support to families that are left on scene of a traumatic event. We are there just for your daughter. We will help explain to her what the officials are doing, what is going on, try to personalize and customize her last moments with her baby, maybe give her a blanket, whatever is usually allowed, and we are there to help mediate between the first responders. We help with mortuary arrangements, personalizing the last moments, as I stated, and I'm here to let you know that we are these very people going out in the community, doing these things, and helping the citizens in our communities. We are here help to free up the deputies and firefighters to get them back into service. I have a few statistics from this year. In 2018, TIP San Diego responded to 1,199 calls for service, helped 5,238 citizens, and assisted 7,616 first responders, and we provided over 4,900 volunteer hours. And then we also have an upcoming TIP Academy, and it will take place in San Marcos from February 20th to March 2nd, and the information's on our website. The reason I am here tonight is to say thank you for allowing TIP the opportunity to serve in the city of El Cajon.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for doing what you do. And I was on the council. I think somebody from TIP spoke at our Rotary Club. And then I got the city council involved before they were involved in El Cajon. And I just appreciate everything you do for the people that are in trauma or have, a death in the family or whatever it might be, for all the work that you do in our city and county and nationally. So thank you very much. I think it's a great program. If there are any people that would like to volunteer to get involved, I would recommend that you do it if you like to help people, because it's a great way of reaching out to others in the community that you might be able to comfort in a time of need and when they're in desperate circumstances. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you for allowing us to be in El Cajon.
You bet. Well,
What is your position?
I'm a volunteer with TIP, Trauma Intervention. We just volunteer. It's 3 12-hour shifts and then a CE once a month. The way I got into it is I'm actually a paramedic for American Medical Response here in El Cajon at a Fire Station 8. And I saw that they are really there for the family in a ways that we can't be. And they allow us to continue to do our job and get in service quicker. So I got to see both parts.
That's great. You volunteer time, because I know you work really hard as a paramedic. That's a tough job.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be here.
Thank you. And please tell the rest of the folks at TIP we appreciate what they do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Our last speaker is Abraham Muhaisi.
Hey, Abraham, welcome.
Hello, thank you. My name is Abraham Muhaisi. I'm born and raised right here in El Cajon, 30 years old now. Graduated from El Cajon Valley High School, went to Cajon Valley Middle School, Narenka, Bastonia, Magnolia. Grew up in the Bastonia rec centers. But the reason why I'm here is 3 years ago I started a basketball league at El Cajon Valley High School as a way to raise money for El Cajon Valley High School. And within 5 months, we had one of the best basketball leagues throughout all San Diego and raised $9,500, donated it to El Cajon Valley High School's ASB. And to this day right now, the students' ASB cards don't cost $20. They now cost $7. So every time a kid actually purchases an ASB card, they pull $13 from that fund to help cover that expense, which is a blessing. And from that basketball league, I was able to start a basketball team called the San Diego Kings, which is in our first year last season, we won the Far West Division Championship, which is over 30 teams on the West Coast. We ended up going out to Texas. We finished third in the nation out of 140 total teams. And into our second year, 3 weeks ago, I was able to bring the team to El Cajon Valley High School. Had an amazing turnout. The whole school was behind it. We had over 500 people at the games. The energy was beyond anything we've been able to imagine. And we just had another game this past Saturday, same thing, over 500 people. A few people here were actually at the game. What I'm here trying to do now is figure out how this basketball team can be more involved in El Cajon. Because when I started this basketball team, I started off of Alumni United, which is a nonprofit I started, which is how I was able to raise $9,500 for El Cajon Valley High School. And with that, my slogan with the team was, we'll win in the community before we win in the gym. And we were able to do just that. Within our first year, we've been in over 30 different schools, organizations, giving back. And when you see one of these athletes go up, dunk a ball, you have all these kids' attention right away. And so it's been a great tool that we've been able to use. And I'm here just trying to figure out how this basketball team, being a kid from El Cajon, I don't want to play any more games at Grossmont College, at Lincoln High School, Kearney Mesa, Sarah High School. I'd rather keep it right here in El Cajon. So I'm trying to figure out how I can come to the council and see how this team can be something special here in San Diego, or in El Cajon, as well as San Diego.
Well, I thought you were here to recruit us to play. But
hey, if you'd like to play, I got spots.
Well, I think we might have some questions. Ben, did you have a question?
Well, I don't have an answer to that right now, but it's so good to see you again. I know you and I worked on a project. How long has it been now? Like 4 or 5 years?
4 or 5 years ago, definitely.
And I remember when I reached out to you, I knew there was something special in you giving back to the community. You're an athlete in your own right. You were was a football player, weren't you?
Yes, definitely football at El Cajon.
So it's really good to see where you were, where you've come. And I think we were friends on Facebook before my New Year's resolution kicked in to get off Facebook. So. Yeah, it's been really cool to watch this journey, and I'll be brainstorming, and maybe reach out to you if I still have your number on that. But it's really good to see you again.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I have some info on it if I could pass it to you guys.
If you get to the clerk,
Bill.
Bob has a question for you too, if you don't mind.
What is the age range for the players that?
My youngest guy is 22. My oldest guy is 35, who's actually our best player. This guy played for the Harlem Globetrotters, and he's amazing. We actually just sent a guy to the Harlem Globetrotters a month ago,
is that
which
right?
is pretty awesome in our second year to actually send a guy off professionally to a higher level.
Maybe some of these Valhalla students, when they get to be 22, would like to be on your teams.
Definitely. It's 18 and up. So.
Yeah. Oh, 18 and up?
18 and up.
Oh.
Just the youngest guy on my team is 22, because usually they want to go through college. These guys either... They played in college, it just didn't work out, so they're looking for something, and this is what they've been able to find here in San Diego.
Some of these young men that spoke today, or you take women too? No?
No, we have a dance team right now,
Yeah.
but it's
You have a what?
a men's basketball team. We do have a dance team.
Oh, you have a
But
dance
it's a men's basketball team, yes.
Okay.
But if a girl's better than all my guys, I'll take her and put her on the
No.
team.
Okay. Okay, all you young ladies out there, if you're good basketball, you might get on this team, and there'll be all guys on it, so might be a good time for you.
Definitely.
Anyway, thank you for doing what you're doing.
I think this sounds like a good potential for staff to consider for America on Main Street. This might be a nice, good demo or a little 3-on-3 or something that has a little cultural experience to it for everybody. And I'd like staff to at least consider that opportunity.
That's a great idea.
Definitely. I'm open to bringing the team out and trying to do whatever it takes. You know, for the first year, whether it was me going to a school by myself or not, but I knew, hey, I promise we're going to get in the community, and our slogan's community first. So I'd go to schools either by myself, 2-3 athletes with me, 5-6 athletes with me, and we'd always have gear to give out and just something to actually make the kids feel appreciated at the schools we've gone into. But something like that is very easy for me to put together. I've been able to build this team off of social media, so it's been a journey through social media, being able to build this team and see it grow from where it's at today.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming. And
Thank you.
If you think of something that we can do to help you, please let us know.
For sure. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No more cards, sir.
Okay, wonderful. All right, there are no written communications on today's agenda. We are now at public hearings. Item 12 is the first amendment to the fiscal year 1819. One-year action plan for reallocating of available CDBG funds. Staff, would you tell us about this, please? Hi. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. I think you know my name is Jamie Van Ravisten with the Community Development Department. Well, as you know, HUD provides funding annually for our CDBG projects and programs through that one-year action plan process we bring to you. Today's action will amend the current annual action plan that was approved in April of 2018 to allocate available CDBG funds to the ECPAC project for additional costs relative to ADA improvements. The Council, you previously awarded allocations of CDBG funds over the years for those ADA improvements, totaling $700,000 as outlined in your staff report. On December 11th of 2018, the City Council approved an increase in the total budget for ECPAC. As outlined in the staff report for that item, I believe the increase was $1.85 million. We also noted in that staff report that additional allocations of CDBG funding would be requested for eligible expenditures identified. Eligible meaning ADA improvements or such costs. Okay, so the additional CDBG eligible expenditures total approximately $195,000. Staff has identified $195,000 in unallocated CDBG funds that can be reallocated to pay these additional costs, and staff is recommending reallocating that amount of money in unallocated CDBG funds to the ECPAC project for additional costs related to ADA improvements.
Thanks. Let me see if there's any questions. Questions? No. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. The public hearing is now open. Angela, do you have any speaker cards?
No cards, sir.
Then I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Move to second. Please vote. All right, Council, it's with you.
With your permission, I'm going to reset the vote, please.
Okay. Again, Council
Please
vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Council, this seems pretty cut and dry. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Anybody have any discussion, or would somebody like to make a motion?
Move to appropriate the money for CBDG.
Second.
Move and second. Please vote.
Motion carries by a 4-0 vote with Councilmember Kalasho abstaining.
Item 13 is a report on the efficiency of the 911 system. Staff, would you tell us about this, please?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Several months ago, Councilmember Goebel asked the staff to analyze the 911 system and look for any efficiencies, inefficiencies, any problems with the system. So what we did was we went back to September 1st, as you can see on the screen, September 1st, 2018 to January 22nd, 2019. And in that time, our police dispatch handled 23,140 calls. And of those calls, and I'll explain the terms as we go through it, we had 1,978 calls abandoned, emergency 911 7,553, and non-emergency 911 4,173. Abandoned, as you can see, are incomplete or accidental calls. So those were calls that were just incomplete. They were followed up on, and they were either determined to be non-emergencies or something, they were dispatched. So, but they were 1,900 and change abandoned. 911 emergencies are actual emergencies where a dispatcher deemed that a call for service was necessary and some action was taken. 911 non-emergency refers to a call that was determined by the dispatcher not to be an emergency, but a call for service was generated on a as you can reach it basis. In other words, when the officer could go to the call. So when we looked at the 23,000 calls, you'll notice that the three areas, abandoned, 911 emergency, and 911 non-emergency, total 13,704. So that leaves a difference of 9,436 calls. That can be explained by simply saying that there were multiple calls for the same occurrence. So, for example, if a 911 call was received reporting a burglary, there may be 4 other calls reporting the very same event, but it's only going to show up on the system as one call for service. Okay, so what the 9,436 represents are just simply multiple calls for the same issue. So when we examine the data, the total number of calls received in the period analyzed, we see that 18% were non-emergency calls. So that's less than 2 in 10. And so as far as this report is concerned on the period analyzed, it's a relatively low percentage of the total number of calls in the system are non-emergency. So staff is recommending at this point no action is being asked of council, but in the event, we will continue to monitor this periodically, and in the event that the percentage of non-emergency calls should substantially increase, staff will examine opportunities for public education to be undertaken and report back to council. And I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thanks, Vince. Any questions? Bob?
You said that the non-emergency calls are also followed up on. Do they actually send somebody out?
Yes.
On the opportunity that they have time available?
That's correct.
Yeah. And what do they usually find out?
Every call is going to be different, but it's the dispatcher's job to make the determination if it's non-emergency. Then, as you said, as the opportunity arises for that officer to go respond, they will respond. But it was a non-emergency.
Seems like a lot of it might be non-911 type emergent or needs, and it's too bad that maybe we need to do a little more education for the public because. The abandoned and the non-emergency is about 6,000, almost as many as the emergency, and they could be prevented if we had a little more education, possibly.
That's correct. You're absolutely right. Of the abandoned calls, that would include any accidental dialing of 911. Now, some of our smartphones are very sensitive,
right,
and if we touch them a certain way, they're going to automatically dial that emergency number. Others were incomplete. Others were disconnected, maybe because of a bad cell signal or just disconnected because the person hung up. In all cases, though, the dispatcher did try and attempt to get a hold of the person, get a hold of the number, and determine, is this a real emergency, an accident, do you need service? And so they were all investigated.
Maybe do they say that you abandoned the call, but was it a mistake, or were you playing with the phone, or do they ask them those questions?
Yes, the dispatcher does ask specifically, do they need assistance or was it an accident? And I have to say we didn't drill down any farther than that, but having watched the dispatchers in action myself, I've seen them, handle calls like that.
Yeah, because we need to not use that unless it's necessary, and we need to educate our population to that effect.
How did the non-emergency call rate compare to other jurisdictions?
According to speaking with our police chief and our operations captain, the 18% is fairly consistent with other jurisdictions.
Thank you.
What I'm more interested in are call times, especially for non-English speakers, how long it takes for a translator to get on for the emergency calls. Do we have any figures on those?
I don't have figures specifically on those, but I can speak to the police chief and get you that information if it's available.
Yeah, and just kind of thinking out loud, it's really difficult to get people to make non-emergency calls because streamlining it through an app, you'll never convince the populace that to abandon dialing 911 and to go hit an app, and then if you have even if they're big legible squares, emergency, non-emergency, it's just that's not the way we're programmed, not at least in this generation. But so that's always a difficulty. That's why I'm more interested in the time.
Let me examine that, and I can get that information to you if it's possible.
Steve.
So we certainly don't want to discourage people from dialing 911. So perhaps the non-emergency calls, I'm going to assume, include some skill of the dispatcher to triage the call and say, essentially, in so many words, thank you for calling 911. I'm glad you did. Let's see if this is a true emergency rather than any other kind of conversation. So I think it does speak to the skill of the dispatchers. Do we have any data on business versus residence, multifamily versus single-family home, any of those kind of breakdowns?
We don't break it down, or the system, I should say, does not break it down in terms of whether the call originates in a commercial establishment or a residential establishment, and therefore it wouldn't break it down as far as single family or apartments. What we do break down is how the call is received. Is it received in our business line? And that was some early mistakes that we made in analyzing the data is, were the calls received by the police department business line, or was the call received by the 911 system? And so we had to drill down. We took a larger sampling and just focused on the 911 system as opposed to calls coming into the police department on another number.
Well, this does provide good baseline information going forward. I think this is a great place to start tracking these perhaps annually. To see if there are any deviations that present opportunities for education or something. But I think my takeaway is I'm impressed by the dispatcher's ability to triage a call, which directly affects the calls that get posted on an officer's screen as calls for service. And we know there are a lot. So every chance a dispatcher can do to de-escalate a situation without discouraging calling 911 shows a lot of skill in the area, and I'm impressed by that.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
Angela, do we have any speaker cards for this item?
No, sir, no cards.
All right, this is an informational-only item, and there is no motion needed. Item 14 is an update on the City of El Cajon's homeless programs. I'd like to ask staff to tell us about this, please.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, it's been about 6 months since staff provided an update to the City Council about the homeless programs that we have implemented over the last year and a half. The report before you focuses on really two programs, A Way Back Home and then also the housing navigation programs. These programs are really geared toward finding permanent housing solutions for the homeless population in our community. It's important to note also that these programs both rely on a community partner, a nonprofit partner, and we've relied on that effectively. Since 2017, the city's been working with the Salvation Army on the A Way Back Home program. In that time, since implementing the program, 39 individuals have been reunited with loved ones outside of the area. I know the staff report says 35, but over this past weekend, we were able to get 4 individuals back to Georgia with family. One of those individuals was a 8-month pregnant woman, so she can be back with a sister and some other loved ones to help through that process. With this latest relocation or reunification of folks, we've actually expended the full $10,000 that we allocated to the Salvation Army. So if you were to take that $10,000 divided by 39 individuals, we're averaging $256 per person for finding permanent housing. That's a pretty good return on investment. because we have budgeted in our housing funds additional monies for the Salvation Army, and that's within my signing or contract purview, I'm going to go ahead and renew another $10,000 with the Salvation Army. It's a good use of our money, I believe. It's interesting to note that the Salvation Army really has been using El Cajon as a pilot for this program, and they are working on finding some additional outside funding besides El Cajon to expand this program countywide, and it's something that we're certainly supportive of given the cost per success. I also wanted to report on the city's housing navigation program. As you recall, we entered into an agreement with Crisis House about 14 months ago. This program pays for one housing navigator, one individual that does the full gamut of locating housing, to case management, to field work, to managing people's lives and eventually getting them into housing. This position has been able to utilize some cities' housing assistance funds, and we've allocated both those amounts of money to Crisis House to accomplish this goal. We've been able to house 70 individuals over the course of the last 14 months. And if you were to combine the cost of the housing navigation salary to date as well as the housing assistance funds, we've spent $138,000, about $138,000, which means we spent a little under $2,000 per person to find permanent housing. Again, there's not many programs in the United States where permanent housing can be found for under $2,000. Crisis House has found a lot of success in this program, working with the other East County cities. We are working with Crisis House to help them secure additional grant funds to expand the El Cajon program to more of an East County program. So that would entail additional staffing and additional resources, not only in the rest of East County, but actually a heavier concentration of folks in El Cajon. In conclusion, I think the last 18 months, the city has been able to take direct responsibility through its direct funding of 109 individuals, finding them permanent housing. This has been a success. This has required collaboration amongst not only city departments, but with our nonprofit community from almost all of them. And in fact, I'd like to point out, if you look at the chain of where individuals go from the street to transitional housing to permanent housing, the East County Transitional Living Center actually plays a pretty important role. Almost 20% of folks that have found permanent housing have come through the East County Transitional Living Center. Actually, 11%. We think that we've been pretty successful in this program, and if you look at the total number of folks housed, permanently housed, not temporarily housed, divided by the total cost we've allocated, divided by the total number that we've housed, we've been able to find permanent housing of a little under $1,300 per person if you combine the two programs together. Again, pretty phenomenal. Besides this as an information item, staff is seeking any additional feedback that you may have on this program and any other feedback about some of the programs or activities that we've been engaged in. That concludes staff's report.
Thanks, Graham. I see there's questions all around. Start with Gary.
Yeah. Yes. One of the things I've heard about a lot from people in the community is I ask them what they think about our signs that suggest that they don't give money to panhandlers, and a lot of them say, "What signs?" And so I think we need to have a little bit bigger signs. And the other thing is that I'd like to see a phone number where on those signs where the homeless can call for help, and maybe they call the housing navigator. I had a couple friends that actually picked up some homeless people and took them over to the East County Transitional Living Center. And I would also, I see him in the audience with the mayor's permission, ask Carol Brown, maybe he can come up and tell us how many families are there right now and how many individuals. Because I've had 2 people for 3 years stay at my house that are graduates, and so I have a really high opinion of the East County Transitional Living Center. They come over to my house, stay for a while, then go on to something else. So Harold, with your permission, Mr. Mayor?
Council, staff, all of us working together is the solution to the problem. We work with the Housing Navigator over at Crisis House and with Salvation Army to send people back home on reuniting. We actually did 208 families last year, I believe, with the $100,000 that we got. So that'll help your number a little bit. If you total all of that in, together we probably average around $700 a family to actually get them into permanent housing, which is phenomenal. So what you guys are doing with all the nonprofits together is just amazing, and I think it's a model that the rest of the country should take a look at and do that. I too would like to see some kind of a number or something on there for the homeless to do something about their situation. If they're out there panhandling and they look and they see a number, maybe they can call the Housing Navigator or Crisis House or us or whoever and actually get a hold of somebody that can help them navigate themselves back into some kind of help. So I'm all for it. Think it would be a great idea, and just appreciate all you guys and all you're doing.
Any other questions for Harold Brown? Harold, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Bob?
I'm sure that the monies that we give, I just was wondering if we up that a little bit, would that increase the number being placed in permanent housing?
Well, unlike a lot of government programs that are heavily regulated, we actually give Crisis House a lot of flexibility per person. And so if it goes beyond a certain amount, they have to get city staff approval. But we've given them sort of this continuum that they can utilize this money in any way. And so this average of under $2,000 for some individuals, it's just a matter of paying utilities, and so it could be several $100s. And for other individuals, it may mean that we're subsidizing housing for 3 months, and so it's more like $5,000. And so we've given them that flexibility. We think that there's enough money for them to work with right now to accomplish the goal. I think if we were to allocate more money, it would just mean the program would go on longer. But I think we need to wait for this next agreement to expire and then kind of assess where we're at.
Well, I'd hate to see them run out of money to where they couldn't play somebody.
Well, if we got to that point, we'd be coming back to the City Council and having you consider additional funding.
Did you hear that, Harold?
All right. Ben?
I think maybe Bob took one of my questions, but the Way Back Home program, is it, and I don't know this, and obviously I'll take your word for it, is it slightly optimistic? Because wouldn't the literal measure for it working be that they don't come back?
Yeah, one of the metrics that we have as part of this program, and it's one of the requirements of Salvation Army, is to actually follow up at the 6-month mark and the 1-year mark and determine whether they're still there.
So then it would be really literal then, 10 grand reunited, 35 individuals outside of the region. So if some numbers I read are, so then I guess then to follow on the question, because I think Bob maybe was talking about the Housing Navigator. So then would increasing that, reunite more people faster? And if we have, let's say, 800 homeless people in El Cajon, would 250K reunite everybody?
Well, I think the limitation isn't the money. The limitation is finding individuals that want to go home today. And not only finding individuals that want to go home, but making sure the situation is appropriate when they go home. So one of the things the Salvation Army does is, let's say person X says, I'm from Georgia and I really want to go home. The Salvation Army actually calls the family member in Georgia to make sure that, one, it's safe for them to go there. They're invited to be there. They have a bed for them, so we're not creating another homeless situation, that they have the support that they need. So if those parameters aren't in place, they're actually not eligible for the program.
So no, I get the variables.
Yeah.
But so I think the Salvation Army can take. You're saying the 10,000 is within your preview to give. I think they can take more. It's different than Crisis House, but I may be wrong. But so I'd like to see it, I think, expand, because it looked like it worked based on a literal effectiveness of 35 individuals reunited, based on the different variables of whoever is qualifying, whoever walks on their own 2 feet into the place and says, I want to be reunited. I understand all that. So explain again to me why, or maybe not, if $30,000 wouldn't relocate 3 times the amount, 100 people.
It would, but remember, it's taken them 18 months to expend the $10,000. So rather than saying, here's a lot of money with a defined time period, we're just giving them almost fronting $10,000, and we don't give them the full. We give them a quarter at a time. And once they draw down, we give them another $25,000. So if, Mr. Kalasho, if they were to consume the $10,000 and relocate another 40 people in the next 3 months, I would come back and tell the council, hey, now we're beyond my budget purview because I can't continue to adopt contracts. I think we should do this. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, the 18 months, I didn't see it on here. So that now I get the whole scope of it. Thank you.
Steve and then Gary.
So this is very successful for those that want to get off the street. We have resources, we have funds, we have partners, but what about those that don't want off the street? That's kind of also something we need to think about. At the town hall meeting, the city manager presented statistics that we've picked up over, I believe, 68,000 pounds of trash off the streets of El Cajon, related to some of those who don't want off the street. So now we need to think about what's the next step. I am going to propose in March that the council and the community consider rotational night shelters. They would be open for nights only. They would be on a rotating basis for a very short time, 1 to 2 weeks, in different parts of the city, so that every part of the city contributes to the solution. We don't earmark one part of the city for a permanent thing. And especially, we saw the value here of our community partners. ECTLC, Salvation Army, Crisis House, they're good at what they do. They know this community. Salvation Army has said, when we build our new community center, should be open this August, we're ready to be a cold weather shelter. So why can't the city incentivize Salvation Army to provide shelters that night for people on the street? There's going to be some accountability with that option as well. And that's something that we need to discuss, but I think there is an opportunity to talk about rotational night shelters for the next level. For those that don't want off the street, we say, you know what, it's cold outside, and you have to get into a shelter tonight and off this street, and we can't continue to pick up 68,000 pounds of trash. We heard this from the neighborhood. We've heard it from the community. We have to do something. I applaud the staff's effort with the community partners. I think we can go to the next level, and that would be great for the people that are homeless. It would be great for the rest of the business owners. It would be great for the residents of the community, and let's talk about it some more in March.
Just a comment that one thing we have to keep in mind is there's a certain percentage of homeless that are perfectly happy in their situation. They don't want to quit using the drugs, they don't want to quit using the alcohol, and they like staying on the streets. So there's only a certain number at any given time that want to make their lives better, and there's a certain number that want to continue their self-destructive behavior. And that may be some issue with mental health, or something with the county or the state, because that's more in their purview.
Any other comments? All right. Angela, do we have any speaker cards for this item?
Yes, sir. We have one speaker, Bonnie Price.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi. Congratulations to the county supervisors. They finally dipped into their $2 billion surplus a bit to help provide housing for the asylum seekers. This just happened, and there were 3 supervisors who did that. I don't know if any money from the supervisors is available to El Cajon, but if it is, I suggest that you learn what amount is available. One reason some people do not like to be involved in the homeless shelter programs you have is because they are religious in nature. And East County Transitional Living Center and the Salvation Army are both in that kind of a arrangement. And I've heard people talk about that, so I know it's a deterrent. I don't know how much, but it is. And I'm not casting aspersions on the program. I'm saying that some people do not like the religious part. And I think it would help people to know that the East County Transitional Living Center has both a plan and program for those who go in for the religious side of life and those who don't. And they're treated differently depending on whether they're in the religious part or the non-religious part. I understand from talking to people in the East County Transitional Living Center that they have had to sign over their social welfare benefits to East County Transitional Living Center. And I don't know what kind of income that gives the center, but it does help. And since the city is making donations that are quite substantial, it would be important for the city to know exactly how that's being handled with individuals who are homeless. And I would ask you to investigate that. Thank you.
Steve?
Bonnie, my understanding is the money that the city contributes goes towards up to 28 days of emergency shelter to pay for the room for those that need emergency shelter for 28 days. It has no religious aspect to it at all. It is akin to renting a motel room for up to 28 days, and that would be the city's contribution. That we can restrict how that money is used, and that's one of the conditions, is that it's not part of their faith-based program, but merely a shelter program.
That's it. Okay, do you know how much they receive in income from social safety net benefits?
The only thing that I'm aware of is that some of them have electronic benefits cards, which is CalFresh, or the old food stamps program is now on a debit card, and I believe on some occasions they swipe the card to help pay for their meal.
Yeah, well, I understood from someone who worked in Health and Human Services that there was an arrangement directly with the county to have that money go, as soon as those homeless people show up, that amount is allocated to East County Transitional Living Center.
Oh, we have Harold Brown here. Harold, would you like to answer that question?
Muffled, so I couldn't really understand the question.
The issue is, Ms. Price is saying that if you come and stay at your shelter, you have to sign over your SSI or Social Security benefits or welfare benefits to the shelter.
No, the way EBT works, EBT is issued to individuals so that they can buy their meals. Initially, I was not taking any EBT from anybody until the county welfare informed me that I was participating in individuals' welfare fraud. So in other words, if I feed them and they get money for food, and they're not paying for the money for the food, but they're getting money for food, but they're getting fed for free, then there's a fraud happening. So they either have the choice of going down and getting off EBT or providing 2/3 of their EBT for the meals that they receive with us. As far as welfare or anything else. For the 28-day emergency shelter program, there is no charge. The CDBG funds covers the cost of the individual being there. There is no prostitution going on. There's no religious activities. There's no requirement to attend any religious services. We've been investigated by HUD and has come up with shining colors. We don't do it. It's not part of that particular program. That program is focused on just getting them into either permanent shelter, back home, or into a long-term program where they can receive benefits.
Harold, I understand that you're pretty efficient out there at feeding people. What does it cost you generally per meal?
Well, the cost that we have per meal, because we go around as part of the food bank and receive all of the food and then report that back to the food bank, is about 17 cents a meal.
And that's a lot better than going to McDonald's with their EBT card then.
Yeah. So EBT, it's required that they actually pay for their meals. They get the money for the food, they're required to pay for it. So that's, and it wasn't us determining how much they should pay. It was the welfare program that told us how much we were supposed to take. And we are it's called a SNAP provider. Just like any other grocery store or anything else would slide the card and pay for food. So that's the way that works. Good?
All right. Thank you for coming, Pastor.
Thank
Does that clear it up?
Thanks for getting that explanation.
Thank you.
No more speakers, sir.
All right. This was an informational only item. There's no motion to be needed unless anybody else wanted to discuss it some more. I'm going to move on then. Item 14 is an update of the City of El Cajon's homeless program. Oh, we just did that, didn't we? It was so good I wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
All right. There are no commissioner reports today. Item 15 is my activities report. And item 16 is a legislative report. SB 50 proposes certain changes to the current density bonus law and introduces the concept of an equitable communities incentive for projects proposed in a job-rich environment or transit-rich environment. The bill is active and has been referred to the Housing Committee. The League of California Cities' position on the bill is to watch, and we will have more updates on this progress as it goes along. Now we're at activities of council members, and Councilmember Gary Kendrick.
As reported.
Councilmember Bob McClellan.
As reported.
Councilmember Ben Colascio.
They are as I've reported them.
Deputy Mayor Steve Goebel.
As reported.
And item 21 is a joint councilmember report from Deputy Mayor Goebel and Councilmember Kendrick. Gentlemen?
Well, Councilmember Kendrick and I thought it would be a good idea to investigate the cost of mobile phone apps, specifically to report issues. Currently, if you want to report graffiti, you have to call a graffiti hotline. You have to kind of verbally describe where it is. It's on the sidewalk across from De La Fuente, but there's no address there, so it's kind of go across from De La Fuente, and that's where you'll find the graffiti. And you hope that gets translated into something helpful for the other end. For shopping carts, you got to call a 800 number, and you get a hold of a contractor and answering service. Again, you got to describe who's the shopping cart belong to, where is it at? Well, it's kind of at the corner, but not really at the corner. It's about 100 feet up from the corner of Madison and Melody, or Main and Melody, and so it's kind of awkward. The City of San Diego and the County of San Diego have great apps where you have all sorts of issues you can report just in one screen. And in addition, you can take a photo right there from that app, and it knows your GPS coordinates if you've allowed that on your phone. And that would allow, the advantage of that is it allows city staff to look at the issue and perhaps even prioritize the issue based on what they see in the photo. And so we think that that's a great tool that we could enhance. I myself tried to report some scooters that were kind of tossed aside by taking a photo. Unfortunately, I wasn't as successful as I would have hoped to have been. So we think this app, if it's used by other cities, maybe we can piggyback on the cost. I don't know if there's an annual licensing fee that makes it prohibitive, but we think there's an opportunity to look into its use in El Cajon.
Gary?
Well, I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel here. It appears to be successful in other jurisdictions, and I think it bears looking into.
So you want to ask the staff to take a look at it and come back with a report?
That's correct.
I think Ben had something to say.
When I recently read this on here, it's a great idea. I brought it to Doug's attention. It was like in 2017, before he left, like in April or something. I went through my emails, and he said everything to what they said, with addition to that the app would be tied into like the dispatch, so that the dispatcher would know where they're at. But he said that whoever was redesigning the website at that time and the monies that were allocated for that also covered the app, and that's why I never brought it, or that's why I abandoned it. So if that's the case, then the money's already there, because I remember that meeting pretty vividly, because it was one of the first things that I brought in was that. And he said that because the website was getting redone and the monies was already there, that the app was already included. So just maybe check on that.
Yeah, I think what, and I wasn't privy to that conversation, but as I recall, at one point we were upgrading our website, and I think the hope was that it would be easier to report via the website. And so there was money allocated for upgrading the website. I don't know if it achieved the goal of making it easier. So
I don't know either, but obviously for me, Generation X or whatever, I was like, we needed an app to do exactly that: shopping carts, graffiti, and to pinpoint location, tying it into the call center, because that eliminates half the where, can I get your location? They already know. And I remember, and I look back at my notes, he said that was because usually when you get a website nowadays, it's in correlation with an app. They go hand in hand. So yeah, check that if we're going to pay again. That would not be ideal.
Steve.
You are correct. You can have a mobile version of a website accomplish the same thing as an app, and often it's more efficient rather than to have a separate application. In this case, the mobile version of our website is not what it needs to be. And I tried to submit a photo via the city website and with my iPhone, and it would not allow me to submit it because the iPhone file format is not accepted by our city website. So let's be aware that we can't say, well, we're just not seeing the number of uses on our city website to justify the cost, because I was an example where I couldn't submit one, so I'm not going to count because I wasn't successful. So let's not consider current usage as part of the opportunity in that.
Well, this is for information. I was only staff. You're going to look into this and come back with a recommendation?
I think the council is required to direct staff to bring a report back.
Well, then can we make a motion to do just that?
I'd like to make a motion that staff investigate mobile apps for use and come back with a recommendation within 90 days.
Second.
All right. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Well, thanks, gentlemen. Good idea. All right. There are no readings of first ordinances. Item 23 is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance adding Chapter 16.56 to the El Cajon Municipal Code. I will ask the city clerk to read the title, but first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
No cards, sir. And the title, an ordinance adding a new chapter 16.56 to the El Cajon Municipal Code addressing easements.
Great. Now, we need a motion on this?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
I'm sorry, I do need to reset the vote. Please vote.
All right.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Item 24 is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 2.12 of the El Cajon Municipal Code. I would like to ask the city clerk to read the title, but first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
We do have one speaker, Robert Clark.
Clark?
Good afternoon again. My name is Robert Clark, and I've lived in the city of El Cajon for about 24 years. and I want to strongly support these proposed changes to City Council meetings. We've had some meetings that have been actually chaotic, and people have used obscenities and created disruptions, and no one has stepped up to do anything about it. So I hope if this is adopted, that won't be the case anymore. And one thing I would like to add is that someone that wants to speak at public comment should be required to give their name, spell out their last name, and also identify the city that they live in. We've had people from the city of National City, for example, come in here in public comment and take up 3 minutes of everybody's time talking about a city they don't even live in. And I would like to see some kind of boundaries established, and someone that lives outside those boundaries would be limited to just 1 minute of public comment time rather than 3 minutes.
All right, thank you, sir. Ben?
Thank you.
1 second, Bob. Just so for clarity, what you just said isn't how, when you said you supported the ordinance, what you said isn't how this ordinance is written. So just so you know.
Okay.
So you'd be in opposition of the way it's written.
Thank you for straightening me out.
Thanks.
Steve.
Mr. Clark, what if somebody from National City represents the opinions of people in El Cajon who aren't able to be here to speak?
Well, I don't know why some individual from National City would be selected by people that live here to come to a council meeting and express their opinions. That doesn't seem to me very likely that would happen.
Put otherwise, let's say a person from El Cajon would like to speak to a topic, but for whatever reason they don't feel comfortable, and they get a friend or a relative outside the city of El Cajon to express their view. Should we consider that?
They should get a friend or relative that lives in El Cajon. That's simple.
We also have situations where people do business in El Cajon, and that matters to them, but they don't live in El Cajon. And there are lots of people who live very close to El Cajon that don't live in officially the city boundaries. So it's a fairness issue, and it's also it's a constitutional issue. You know, people have the right of free speech, and we can't regulate that speech unless it's disruptive.
Well, it depends on how you define free speech.
Define it by
our Constitution doesn't define that.
But I appreciate your points.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mr.
I appreciate your appreciation.
Okay, well, that's the last speaker.
The title for that is an ordinance amending Chapter 2.12 of the El Cajon Municipal Code relating to City Council procedures.
All right, can we have a motion on that, please?
So move.
Second. Moving second, please vote.
Motion carries by a 4-1 vote with Councilmember Kalasha voting no.
All right, item 25 is the second reading and adoption of a proposed general plan amendment. Zone reclassification and site development plan for a medical office building located at 525 East Main Street. I'd like to ask the city clerk to read the title, but first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
No cards, sir. The title is an ordinance rezoning property located on the east side of Taft Avenue between East Main Street and East Lexington Avenue, APN 488-23351 from the P to CG General Commercial, General Plan Designation, General Commercial.
Can we have a motion on that, please?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Thank you, Angela. We are now at closed session. Our city attorney will recite the title and lead us into closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council will be recessing into closed session on 3 items. Each of them are involving litigation. The first is a conference with legal counsel for anticipated litigation, significant exposure of litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D of section 54956.9 of the Government Code. There's one potential case that's related to the claim of Muhammad Haj Hamad on behalf of the minor Mais Haj Hamad. The second is a closed session for conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. The name of the case includes El Cajon Police Officers Association versus the City of El Cajon. And the third is a closed session. We actually have four, I'm sorry. Third is a closed session for conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9, City of El Cajon versus ASSCS LLC and Cloud9 Wellness. And the fourth is a closed session for conference with legal counsel on anticipated litigation, whether to initiate litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. There's one potential case.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be going into closed session and come back in a short period of time to conclude the meeting. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the closed session.
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back from closed session, and our city attorney will report on what happened.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council met in closed session on four items of litigation. In the first case, item 26, direction was given to its legal counsel. On the second item, 27, direction was given to the legal counsel. On the third item, number 28, direction was given to the legal counsel, and then 29, no action was taken.
Thank you. This brings us to adjournment. The regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council and El Cajon Housing Authority held this 12th day of February 2019 is adjourned till Tuesday, February 26, 2019 at 3 o'clock p.m. Thank you.